In his second impeachment trial that ended last week in the U.S. Senate, former President Donald Trump was acquitted of inciting a riot at the Capitol on January 6th. In his first impeachment trial last year, he was also acquitted of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress for allegedly pressuring a foreign government to interfere in the election. Representative Val Demings of Florida was one of the House managers that presented that first case to the U.S. Senate. She represents the 10th District in Orlando, and she joins us now. And Congresswoman Demings, welcome to Florida this week.
It's great to be with you.
What message does the vote to acquit send to the country?
Well, as you well know, I spent 27 years as a law enforcement officer, and I just think it's so important to say this as well. I could not tell you the political party of the overwhelming majority of the men and women that I worked with. We had a mission, and it was about working hard to accomplish the mission. Accountability is at the forefront of that. Everybody counts, but everybody is accountable up to and including the President of the United States. As you mentioned, last year I served as an impeachment manager. I was honored to do so. We know how the Senate, the end of that trial turned out, but there was no doubt. We presented a clear and convincing case where the evidence was overwhelming. It was the president's own voice, his own phone call that he was impeached for. We also know that he used the authority of his office to obstruct justice by preventing the majority of people who had direct knowledge about his wrongdoing from even coming before Congress and testifying. Usually innocent people don't obstruct witnesses who can help prove their innocence. We saw the trial this year. It was again about accountability. And we tried to make it clear last year that if we do not hold this president accountable, he's going to do it again. 1 year later, we find ourselves in the same position. I know that some of the senators, and unfortunately the two in Florida, have asked us to not believe our lying ears and our lying eyes. I was in the Capitol on January 6th. I was trapped with about 30 other members of Congress in the House gallery. I was there. We've all seen the footage of police officers fighting for their very lives. We know that one lost his life, Officer Brian Sicknick. We know that about 140 other officers suffered injury or great bodily harm trying to defend us, our staff, our democracy. We heard with our own ears the president and his enablers' words that helped to incite the insurrection, to incite the riot. And so it was about accountability. We know that the majority of members of the Senate voted to hold him accountable. It did not reach the necessary threshold, but it sends the wrong message. No one is above the law, and we need people in positions to send that message. And unfortunately, we did not send that message last week.
Congresswoman, I'm wondering about the psychological impact on the staff and on the people that work in the Capitol. What can you tell me about the effect of them seeing Confederate flags and Nazi flags being marched around the U.S. Capitol?
It had a devastating effect. At the police department, I served as the commander of the Critical Incident Stress Management Team, dealing with officers and civilian staff who'd gone through traumatic situations. When you think about congressional staffers, many of them are relatively young. They've never seen anything like that. This was not the America that they were used to. You know, when you come to the U.S. Capitol, it is one of those places that it's a sacred place. It is the center of our democracy and really the beacon, I think, for other countries around the world. Our staffers are so honored to be a part of the people's work in upholding our democracy. But to see the rioters there chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," and I have no doubt that had they been able to apprehend the vice president, they would have done that. We heard their voices searching for Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House. I have no doubt they would have done that. They desecrated her office and other sacred places within the Capitol, as you said, carrying flags that were basically symbols of division and hate. It was very traumatic for our
Congresswoman,
staffers.
I wish we had more time. We've got just about 40 seconds left, but a lot of people are bringing up your name as a possible statewide candidate for office. Do you look at maybe the U.S. Senate race next year or the governor's race next year and think about getting in?
Well, let me say this. I am absolutely honored to serve in the House of Representatives, but I'm also humbled by the number of people who are having that discussion. I will just leave you with this. Florida is the third largest state in the union. That should mean a lot. And I'm keeping the doors open. We will see what happens.
Congresswoman Val Demings, thank you for coming on Florida This Week. I hope you come back.
Thank you.